Welcome to the Mark Dolan Show and daily videos from the United States. Massive news today. Prince Harry surprised that the Windsors, his family, have completely disowned him. This guy is the king of one thing, and the one thing only that he's the king of is denial. So I'll get to that. Plus, look at that. Some fabulous Americans. Give them away, cameraman John. My God. I'll tell you, there are fans everywhere. Folks, this community is growing. I've got lots to get through. Plus, by the way, Meghan Markle loved her ex-husband a lot more than she loves Harry. I've got the inside story. Plus, Elton John's dramatic weight loss. How's he done it? And what does it mean for the Rocket Man? But first of all, can we just have a look at this stunning view? Here we are in the Bay Area, and the Golden Gate Bridge is one of the most fabulous structures in the history of mankind. And it's famous for the fact that every few years they paint it, and when they paint it, it takes so long, by the time they get to the end of the bridge they have to start all over again. And that's happening to Prince Harry in relation to his own family. Now, Royal Insiders has spoken to Radar Online, and Harry apparently, and I quote, is in very surprised. Oh, I'm very surprised. World's least happy millionaire. Harry is surprised that the Windsors don't want anything to do with him, which is quite remarkable. So Radar Online have been told the following. Harry expected to be in a conversation with his family by now, but it hasn't happened. Well, no sugar Sherlock. You wrote a book condemning the family. You did a TV interview calling them racist. Racist is a terrible thing to call any member of your family. Also, he did the Netflix documentary. We know about his crimes, but he is surprised. I mean, what is wrong with his brain that he would arrogantly think that King Charles wants to have tea with him and that William wants to sit down and have a beer with him, a really great beer, maybe the king of beers, like Budweiser. We know Budweiser is the king of beers because it's literally written on the bottle. So it's a killer line, isn't it? Harry unhappily accepts that things are more complicated than he anticipated. I should think so. It's a great quote from this insider who said Harry didn't expect the fallout to drag on this long. He's beginning to see that including Meghan only complicates things with the royals. Yeah, I should say so, because she is the conniving instigator of this whole crisis. She is the homewrecker. She's the one that's turned Harry against his family, against his country, against the monarchy. Now, I don't blame Meghan, because there are lots of Meghan Markles out there. Harry's the fool that allowed that to happen. But just trying to process the fact that Harry expected King Charles to embrace his son and go, oh, don't worry about the book, don't worry about the documentary, don't worry about mocking Queen Elizabeth and making her incredibly miserable for her last years on this planet and enraging Prince Philip as well. Don't worry about all of that, because you're still a legend. All is forgiven. I don't think so. Why is Harry so in denial? Is he on the happy pills? Could that be it? Because I'll tell you one thing's for sure, right? Something's very clear to me, and we're in California, which is very much the home of therapy, okay? And I don't mind a bit of therapy. I've got viewers and listeners who are struggling, and you know what you must do? You must reach out, because there's always help. It's very important to talk, especially men who don't talk enough. I talk too much, you're welcome. But I think there is such a thing as having had too much therapy, and Harry, the H-Bob, my husband, has had way too much therapy. He's a victim of therapy, okay? And what this guy needs to do is talk less about himself. In fact, talk less generally would be quite ideal. Poor Prince Harry, world's least happy millionaire, humpy-dumpy-dumpy-dump, my terrible life in a 16-bathroom Montecito mansion worth $20 million, and my mum with Princess Diana, humpy-dumpy-dumpy-dump. Get over yourself and stop having therapy. And do you know what actually I'd quite like? Britain is a great country. it's a great country. It's my home of birth. And do you know what we invented? Have you heard of this, folks? The stiff upper lip. And that means that no matter what you're going through in your life, you stand straight and you tighten your upper lip like this. Okay? And you brace yourself for what life throws at you, a bit like this terrible wind that's being chucked in my direction. Can I just speak to the Americans at the moment about the weather? Because I was in Washington, D.C. in July, and we had basically a blizzard, a hurricane, and a monsoon in an afternoon. I don't know why. I blame Donald, actually. I think that Donald is affecting the weather now in America. The other issue is San Francisco. I mean, it's like I'm freezing my socks off up here. It's the fog. How can there be fog? Cameraman John, show us the fog. How can there be fog in July, in 2025, and wind? I chose the wrong day to wear a tie. I'm trying to actually keep it straight, but keeping it straight in California, especially San Francisco, is not easy. But look, massive. I've got massive stories for you. Meghan loved her ex-husband much more than she loves Harry. That's coming up. And Elton John's dramatic weight loss. How did he do it? What does it mean for the Rocket Man? So I love Harry's, denial. Is he on antidepressants? Because if you take that many pills, that many happy pills, it detaches you from reality, doesn't it? It's like the Beatles in the late 60s, you know what I mean? Oh, hello, Paul McCartney, peace and love. And I see popping too many happy pills, where he basically in the morning, rather than cornflakes or Frosties or Apple Charms, is that what they're called? Apple Charms, which, let me tell you, Kellogg's Apple Charms have never been in the same room as an apple. And instead of that, I think he just has happy pills with milk, with half and half, which is my favorite American milk. It's a genius invention. It's milk mixed with heavy cream. And I think he has a bowl of happy pills for breakfast, because that would only explain why he thinks that he should be on great terms with Charles and William, after the Spare book, in which he wrote intimate details of his fight with William, which is something you don't do, brothers. Keep things behind closed doors. Anyway, it goes on, the arrogance of this man, the hubris, right? He's not living in reality, is he? He's detached from reality, and I think it's California, I think it's the happy pills, and I think it's arrogance. Anyway, Harry is keen to keep an open line of communication with the royal family. How nice of him. What a great guy. He's keen to keep an open line of communication. Well, had an open line of communication. The Oprah interview, the book, the podcasts. I think we've had enough communication from him. And finally, he's realised the way he handled things before hasn't brought any progress. Now, I will say that the conditions for filming are unacceptable. Why is there a Dickensian fog in San Francisco in July 2025? America, please. We had heavy rain in DC, and now I'm being blown apart, and I feel like I'm in Dickensian London, and it's 1848. Good morrow, sir. I am in London, and I am on Oxford Street, trying to purchase some mead for my young family. Right, let's get in the car. I'm so sorry, cameraman John, we're gonna have to get into the Mustang because I am freezing my knackers off. I'm already physically on the edge, let me tell you, and it's not getting any better thanks to the, but one last look at the Golden Gate Bridge. Isn't it absolutely stunning? There is something magical about the fog, even if it has come at the wrong time of the year. Right, cameraman John, let's get in the car. I'm going to let you go in. What are you going to do? You go in first. I'll get in. Let's get me into the car. So, by the way, stay focused. I've got some big stories for you. By the way, also an exclusive tour of the Napa Valley at the end of the video, and I've got something else at the end of the video. What have I got? I've got some other treasure. It's highlights from my road trip, which you do not want to miss. But follow me into the car, because it's cold. Right, okay, thank you. Oh dear, you've gone all floppy, cameraman John. Okay, so we're in the Ford Mustang now, a lot more comfortable. The fog is so bad outside, we've lost the Golden Gate Bridge, it's disappeared. But I really want to tell you this because it's massive. So not only has Harry finally realised that Meghan is a huge impediment to any reconciliation with his family, but he's also accepted that going it alone might be the only option now. Now, this is Harry basically saying, maybe that's it. Maybe my relationship with my family is a busted flush and that it's over. It's over. It's over. So Harry, as I said, keen to keep an open line of communication with the family. What I'd suggest, Harry, is I'd keep that line of communication via WhatsApp and via your smartphone, and not via publications and books and podcasts and all the rest of it. Now, one more thing. The insider claims that a royal reunion is only possible if Harry attempts to reconcile with King Charles and Prince William alone without Meghan. The quote is, "It's incredibly hard for Harry. He cares deeply for Meghan, but he can't deny the reality of the situation anymore." It goes on, "If there's any hope of reconnecting with his family, he knows that he has to try without her. He wants to be back in the royal family and back in the royal fold and is feeling totally lost in America. It's Meghan's home and world and not his." Well, we've been saying that on the Mark Dolan Show for months now, that whilst I love America and I believe I fit into this country beautifully, it hasn't worked out for Harry. This is not his natural habitat. And of course, this is by design. Meghan is brought into America because when you want to control someone, when you want to manipulate them, when you want to, ABUSE is a little bit, emotional abuse. That's a very, very strong accusation. I'm not sure I would go that far. But if you're looking to basically control someone, you take them away from their family, away from their country, ideally take them away from their job as well, which has happened to Harry. And she's calling all the shots. So it's interesting, but this bears out what I've said, and it actually proves that Harry and I now have common ground and we're in the same place, because Harry realises that Meghan is the problem. There will be no reunion with Charles and with William if Meghan's involved. But I'll go further than that. The Mark Dolan Show is the first show in the world not only to put Harry and Meghan on 24/7 divorce watch, will be proved right on that. And I say that with no pleasure. I don't wish for families to break up, but I'll take no lectures from Meghan Markle about family unity. But I would go further. The Mark Dolan Show hasn't just put Harry and Meghan on divorce watch. It's my view that the only way that Harry reconciles with Charles and with William is to apologise, to atone for his crimes, to promise no more books, no more podcasts, no more interviews, and to divorce Meghan Markle. That would be their price. Every man has his price, and that would be the price for William and Charles, is Meghan is out. She's the ex-wife. But it ain't going to happen, because unfortunately Harry still has the Stockholm syndrome, where he thinks that he loves Meghan Markle. Well, I've got news for you. Meghan doesn't love him. That was the view, as we know, of Queen Elizabeth II, who told her best friend and confidant that she feels that Meghan didn't really love Harry and that she engineered the marriage and that she engineered Megxit. Well, the Queen was so wise and she saw through Meghan. She knew exactly what was happening because she was a worldly figure with a great intellect. So the Queen was right, and we know, the Mark Dolan Show knows, that Meghan, we don't think, it's my personal view, I don't think she loves Harry because I don't think she's really capable of love. What I will say, having read Tom Bower's book about the Sussexes, I do think that she was in love with Trevor Engelson, her first husband. I think that she completely fell head over heels in love with this guy. Now, she was an aspiring actress living in Los Angeles, and she was supplementing her income by doing calligraphy with her weird spidery writing and other sorts of bits and pieces. She had a few odd jobs, and she was surviving, just surviving in Hollywood, not thriving at all. And she fell in love with Trevor Engelson, who was a very charismatic man, American, but with Scandinavian roots, a very statuesque man, tall, handsome, fair hair, blue eyes, a good-looking guy, and very charismatic, very bright, and a promising TV and film producer. That's who he was. So she was punching way above her weight. Now, he was quite a catch. I mean, yes, she was an attractive young woman, but she was a nobody. She was a failed actress. Meanwhile, he's a hotshot producer with a big future. So obviously, the kind of scheming, strategic part of Meghan's like, well, this is an upgrade. This guy is going to help me get from A to B professionally. But it's my reading of the Tom Bower book that she was attracted to him. He's a good-looking guy, and that she fell in love with him, and that she was quite besotted with him. And the two of them were in love, actually. It was a very, he couldn't believe his luck. He felt like, he was punching above his weight in terms of her attractiveness. So it was a bit of a dream team. Now, the story is that Meghan, allegedly, is still wearing the Cartier gold love bracelet that he gave her. The rumour is the bracelet, which was a gift from her first husband, Trevor, possibly as a wedding present, is the one that she's hung on to, which clearly wouldn't be great for the Duke of Sussex. The article speculates that, and I quote, "We can't imagine that Harry feels entirely comfortable with Meghan still wearing it." I'll be honest, I doubt that Harry is happy with the existence of Trevor Engelson, because he just knows deep down that Meghan was in love with Trevor, and that Trevor had a much better experience of married life with Meghan than Harry did, until, of course, it came to an abrupt end. Now, there's even a quote from Harry, actually in the book Spare, when he expresses clear frustration with how the media focused on Meghan's first marriage. He railed against one article in which the writer examined from all angles the burning question of whether or not Harry was legally able to marry a divorcee. He continued, "God, they were already into her past and looking at her first marriage." It adds, evidently, Harry prefers it as if Meghan's past relationship remained out of the conversation. And that's because deep down, he knows that Trevor got the best of Meghan her best years, when she was a vital young actress aspiring to greatness. So she'd already gone off the boil by the time she met Harry, and her career was going downhill fast. So there you are. Now, some people on Twitter have got very involved in this Trevor Engelson story, and they've said, "I believe that Trevor is the first and last man that Meghan ever truly loved. That is why she always wears his bracelet." Another added, "In all her photos with Trevor, it always looks like she's the one who's more in love with him." So that's quite something, isn't it? What a turnaround. That you've got pictures of Meghan and her ex Trevor, and she's loved up. So much so that Trevor's like, "Cool it, dear." Seriously, control your PDA. And of course, we've got the opposite with the Duchess and Duke of Sussex. Of Sussexes, you've got Harry, who goes to New York with Meghan as the bag carrier. He reaches out to hold her hand and she blanks him. Or they're at a ball game and the kiss cam appears in front of them. He tries to kiss her and she pushes him away. Incredibly awkward. A very different experience for Trevor. So that tells you everything you need to know. There is trouble in paradise, folks. Briefly, the couple are very embarrassed because John Travolta has ditched them. John Travolta is not returning Harry's calls. Of course, he's a famous actor from Grease, from Pulp Fiction. He's a true legend. He's a Scientologist, by the way. And, the Mark Dolan Show doesn't take a view on religions. It is a little unusual, the religion. You could argue is a little cult-like. And they do believe some unusual things. Scientologists believe that humans are immortal spiritual beings, which is a bit worrying because that means that Meghan Markle is going to live forever. Yikes! But Travolta and Harry were quite close because, of course, Travolta famously danced with Princess Diana, Harry's mother, in the White House under the presidency of Ronald Reagan in the mid-80s. And Diana danced with Travolta. He was one of the biggest stars in the world at that point. And of course, he is a great dancer. Grease is an amazing musical. Go Grease Lightning, go Grease Lightning. And I think that Harry and John Travolta had discussed that famous moment, which kind of went viral of its time. And of course, they've also got aviation in common. Hilariously, Harry was awarded a hero, a Legend of Aviation award, even though he's basically just been a passenger in a helicopter in a very safe part of Afghanistan during that conflict. But it was enough for the two men to bond. Travolta is out, so he's reportedly not taking Harry's calls, and Harry is quite disappointed about it, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And it's because John Travolta doesn't need these two Z-listers. And we know that Hollywood have turned their back on the couple. You've got the talk show hosts who are ultra woke, but have now turned on Harry and Meghan, which is significant. You've also got South Park and other comedies who are mocking Harry and Meghan. And you've got the fact that the Obamas, the Clooneys, and of course, Gwyneth Paltrow reported that, and Oprah Winfrey, they've all ditched the Sussexes because in Hollywood, you've got to have currency. You've got to be hot. If you have a meeting in Hollywood, it's always about what is the next project. You cannot be looking backwards. And that's what's happened to Harry and Meghan. They are a busted flush, which is why all of these stars, including Travolta, have walked away. Before we go, Sir Elton John posted on Facebook and Instagram a picture of himself and his husband, David Furnish, on his way to the banquet hosted by King Charles in honour of the French President Emmanuel Macron. Emmanuel Macron is in London for an official state visit of the French President. And Sir Elton John, of course, is a great patriot. He's a very proud British man. In the 70s, when taxes for rich people were 90%, 95%, he stayed in Britain and paid his taxes, unlike Paul McCartney, Rod Stewart, Phil Collins and others. So he's a very patriotic British man, and he represented the United Kingdom at this state banquet in the company of President Emmanuel Macron. But the big story is Elton's massive weight loss. There's nothing left of him. The Rocket Man is diminishing as we speak. Incredibly lean, photographed with his husband, David Furnish. What has happened? Why has Elton John lost so much weight? Well, Elton John is 78 and he's battled weight issues his whole life. He talked about it in his book, Me, a very, very good book, a great read. And in the book, he said, I would binge on food, then I would purge. It was a cycle that I couldn't break. I would eat a tub of ice cream and then I would bring it up. He battled compulsive eating, particularly during periods of cocaine use and emotional instability. He said that at times his diet would consist of little more than vodka, cocaine and fast food, followed by long binges. It's not great, is it? He actually went to rehab in 1990 and he had to go to a special clinic because he had so many addictions that there was only one place that could cover all his addictions, which were sex, shopping, drugs and alcohol. He had all four, which is quite impressive. He's lived a life, that man. But anyway, what he's never completely done is kept the weight off. And obviously bulimia is a terrible disease, terrible illness. He suffered from it. Princess Diana, one of his best friends at the time, she had that problem as well. Lots of rumours about other public figures who have or have had bulimia over the years. But he, by the end of his tour, which is the Farewell Yellow Brick Road tour, which is the highest grossing tour in history, Elton was looking particularly heavy. And of course it's an issue because he's a well-reported type 2 diabetic. If you've got a lot of weight, if you're carrying a lot of weight, if you're overweight, you will more likely to have type 2 diabetes. Well, it looks like all of that is being reversed because he's looking so lean. And I can speculate that there are a few aspects of this. So first of all, he's not on tour, he's not traveling anymore, so he's got a less stressful life. He's at home, he can concentrate on his health and his diet. Secondly, he's 78, he's got young sons and a young husband. He wants to be there to watch his sons graduate from university, maybe walk his sons down the aisle. And the only way he's going to do that is by getting himself lean and in shape. Like I say, he's not on the road anymore. He's got time to concentrate on himself, and it is working because he is looking seriously lean. But there is one other possibility, and it's highly likely because this has happened to many big stars. I suspect, the Mark Dolan Show suspects, that Elton John is on the Ozempic. That is my guess, because this is a guy who has battled his weight his whole life. I don't think that he would suddenly miraculously work out how to lose weight after decades of battling the bulge. So it's my view that Elton, one of the most gifted composers in the history of popular music, one of the best selling as well, I think he's number 4 of all time for successful musical artists. And it's my view that he's on the Ozempic, the Wegovy. He's had the jab. And you know what? You do what works. I don't hugely approve of these jabs because they come with side effects. And really, all you need to do if you want to lose weight is don't eat carbohydrates. I lost 3 stone from not eating carbohydrates. Don't take this as medical advice. I'm not a doctor. Consult your physician at all times. But I cut the carbs and I lost the weight. But people don't want to do that because they love bread. They love their potatoes. They love their sugar. So I suspect that the Elton is on the Ozempic, like so many big Hollywood stars, including Lizzo. And good luck to him. It's working because the Rocket Man is looking leaner than ever. Okay, folks, many more big stories to come. Loving this road trip. Keep the comments coming. Please like and subscribe the video. Hit the notification reminder bell. And I'll see you for the next video. Meanwhile, here are some highlights from the Mark Dolan Show US road trip. So here we are in the Napa Valley, which produces some of the finest wines on the planet. Cameraman John, let's have a look around. Truly stunning scenery, great soil, great weather, and a long, long tradition of growing wine in this region. It's a big part of the Californian economy. I absolutely love it. I've got to say, Californian wine is world class, and provably so, because in 1976, a blind tasting in Paris saw a Napa Valley Chardonnay and Cabernet Sauvignon beat the top French wines. Sacré bleu, c'est incroyable. So well done, America. This event, known as the Judgment of Paris, stunned the wine world. They couldn't believe that these rather uncouth Americans were producing better wine than they were. They thought America was the home of Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse. They thought the best beverage to come from the United States was Coca-Cola. Far from it. It was Chardonnay, Pinot Grigio, Cabernet, and all the rest of it. So that's great news. Napa Valley, right? When you think of a Californian wine, you think Napa Valley. Well, think again, because Napa Valley is actually a very special niche. It's the elite. Napa Valley produces just 4% of California's wine, 4%, and only 0.0%. I'm not that great with numbers. 0.04% of the world's wine. So basically, it's a tiny fraction of the wine market, but it's absolutely the best on God's earth. It is, where I'm standing right now, is a climate Goldilocks zone. The valley benefits from a rare blend of cool Pacific breezes, which I'm enjoying as we speak, and warm sunshine and fog drifting in from the San Pablo Bay. So it's a perfect microclimate, because I will say, you know, California is hot and dry and sunny, and you think it would be possibly a bit harsh conditions for these grapes. Not so. So it works really well. The microclimate, particularly good for Cabernet Sauvignon, which dominates 40% of all Napa vineyards. A single bottle of Screaming Eagle Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa costs up to $10,000. Are you crazy? But the thing is, you will be having the finest wine the world has ever seen, the kind of wine that Julius Caesar would happily drink, not Meghan Markle's horrible plonk. She's charging $30 for her rosé, which is from the Napa Valley, but I don't know which part. There's a scraggy bit of land over there. Take a look at that rather barren, sort of dusty slope, chocolate brown, right? No signs of life there, just desolate. I suspect that's Meghan's vineyard, okay? And it's just a smoking ruin, just like Harry's charity Centre Vale. And it's a smoking ruin like Meghan's family life with Paul Thomas Markle in the Philippines, in a high-rise overlooking a 7-lane highway, in a building which is not structurally sound, and accosted by locals. Hey, Mr. America, you got dollars for us, Mr. America? So anyway, I wouldn't be buying her wine. If I had the money, I'd happily spend $10,000 on good wine from Napa Valley, because I believe in America, I believe in California, and I want to put some money back into the economy. So if I was a man of means, I would do it, because you should always buy local, shouldn't you? So that's great. It's a celebrity playground around here. Should we go for a walk? Let's quickly stroll. Francis Ford Coppola, what a great film director. He did The Godfather. He owns a vineyard here in Napa Valley. Napa Valley. And he's a good director. He did The Godfather, and he had creative control over that film. And when the studio executives were watching the edits, the rushes, right, the daily rushes of the film, they hated it. And they said, this is the biggest waste of money we've ever had. And they hated The Godfather because they actually said, it's so dark, it's shot so dark, we actually can't see the actors. And so you're spending our money on a movie and we can't actually see the characters. And so they thought it was going to be a flop. And its first weekend, people were queuing around the block, one of the greatest movies of all time. It just goes to show that the bosses and the executives, they don't know what they're talking about. Come upfield with me, cameraman John, and let's just enjoy this vista. I'm not going to touch the grapes because this is private property, okay, and I think that would be really unfair, but let's have a look at the grapes. I can hold the grapes, can't I? I can pretend to be a great expert. Look at that. What do you think, cameraman John? Enjoy a couple of glasses of those grapes, that grape juice later on. There are 400 wineries in 30 miles. The Napa Valley attracts 3 million visitors a year, but no one's going to be going to Meghan's vineyard, which is just a smoking ruin. Oh, I've just seen a bunny rabbit with massive ears. Did you catch that, cameraman John? Come and have another look at Meghan's vineyard. It's an absolute shocker. While we do that, Francis Ford Coppola, film director, very good. Dave Grohl, the guitarist, and Sting, who's an amazing, as you know, English singer-songwriter, they've all invested in Napa Valley wineries. Even Barack Obama has vacationed here. Well, he needs a drink because he's married to Michelle, she's fine, but she does moan a bit, doesn't she? I admire her. She's had an amazing life. Barack was a very articulate guy. You know, I admired Barack, but Michelle, in the comments, what do you think? She does moan a bit, doesn't she? About having been, it was so terrible in the White House for 8 years, you know? Being the first lady and the most prominent, you know, figure in American public life. It was a real drag. Anyhow, good luck to Michelle, no problem. We'll get her on the show at some point. I understand she's a fan, but please, you know, so much moaning. Right, so come here. Poor Barack, no wonder he drinks. He's like, Michelle, will you give it a break? I used to be president. Can you give it a break, you know? Something jolly for a change? Right, okay. He was cool, Barack, wasn't he? He was a cool guy. Come and have a look at this. I can't be sure, but zoom in. Give me a crash zoom on this. I believe that's Meghan's Vineyard over there, just the chocolate brown desert. By the way, that is a very loud freeway. That is exactly like the freeway in the Philippines where Thomas Markle lives. Overlooking a 7-lane highway with environmentally unfriendly Filipinist cars being accosted by locals. Mr. America, you got dollars? You got dollars, fellas? Please leave me alone. I'm missing my daughter. The only connection I have with Meghan is watching Suits, which really wasn't that great. Napa Valley has survived fire, because of course we know about the Californian wildfires, which are absolutely devastating and heartbreaking. We also have a disease called phylloxera, which is a vine-killing insect. And the other thing that Napa Valley survived was prohibition. You see, I do love the Americans, okay? Because, was it the 30s, 20s, I think, 1920s? The governments, the authoritarian government tried to ban alcohol. They had this prohibition where it's illegal. And the Americans are like, we're not going to be following those rules because we are Americans and we enjoy our freedom and we like a little drinky or two. So in the Prohibition era, there was so much bootlegging and corruption and stealing and, you know, wine, spirits, beer. It was all being served, but behind closed doors. To the extent where there were these speakeasies where people were having pots of what looked like a pot of tea with a china cup. But there was liquor in there. It wasn't Earl Grey, let me tell you. Right, before we go, let me just give you a tiny bit more information about this brilliant place. Okay, Napa Valley started with the monks, okay? Wine production in Napa dates back to the 1850s, but its roots go deeper. The first serious vineyards were planted by Catholic missionaries who needed wine for communion. Well, that was their story. Now, I'm a Roman Catholic, so I can drop some truth bombs about the Catholics, and I can tell you the monks and the priests, they're not stupid, okay? Because according to Roman Catholic scripture, which I fully support and am devoted to, I'm a Roman Catholic, there's a couple of things the priests aren't allowed to do. And one of them is to be intimate with a lady, okay? They don't marry, they take a vow of celibacy, which many of us married men can relate to. And careful, please. Anyway, the bottom line is that there's so much the priests can't do, but the one thing they can do is drink. And they enjoy a drink. And so it was the monks who got it. They brewed beer. I think the monks may well have invented beer and wine and spirits. And that was, let's just say, that was one of their pleasures and was one of the perks of the job. And of course, you needed the wine for your Holy Communion. That was the reason. It was nothing to do with getting trolleyed, folks. It was about devotion. There you go. It's Napa Valley. The only thing I'm worried about is Meghan's Vineyard. Cameraman John, have you seen this? I believe that's Meghan's Vineyard. Just zoom in on that. It's desolate. I mean, it looks like actually that been subject to a few wildfires lately. It will be undrinkable. I'm getting indigestion just thinking about Meghan's $30 plonk. Thanks, but no thanks.